Hello everybody, how are you guys doing? Hope everybody is doing amazingly well. Welcome back to our channel English with Ashish. And today guys, we are going to talk about passive voice. What exactly about passive voice, Ashish? Be specific. We are going to talk about when to use passive voice. A lot of teachers will tell you never use passive voice. Bad writing. Don't do that, teachers. It's meant to be used. Let's talk about when to use it. So in this lesson, I am going to talk about all the situations where you have to use passive voice. It's better to use passive voice. So if you guys are new to the channel, make sure you subscribe to the channel and let's start it. Alright guys, before we look at all the situations where we use passive voice or we should use passive voice, let's understand a couple of things. Let's understand what is active voice, what is passive voice, and a couple of important things. So what is active voice, what is passive voice? See guys, every sentence is written in either active voice or passive voice. We use these two voices, active voice and passive voice, to write a sentence. Every sentence in English has to be written in either of these two voices. Okay, so what is active voice? In active voice, we focus on the doer of the action, the person or the people who do the action. All right. In the passive voice, we focus on the receiver of the action. We focus on the person or the thing whom the action is acted upon. All right. Look at these two sentences on your screen. Active voice. Jyoti stole my phone last night. Jyoti did something last night. The focus of the sentence is Jyoti, the doer of this action, stealing my phone. Jyoti stole my phone last night. All right. Here we are focusing on the person who did this action of stealing, which is Jyoti. Jyoti stole my phone last night. Subject, the action, and the object. All right. Now, in the passive voice, the focus changes to the person or the thing whom or what the action is acted upon. My phone was stolen last night. If I want to talk about who did that, I can add the doer of the action at the end of the sentence by Jyoti. My phone was stolen last night. Who did it? Not important. It was stolen. This action happened upon my phone. This is more important than the person who did it. My phone was stolen last night. I can talk about the doer of the action as well by Jyoti. This is optional. So there are three important things you must know. Number one, the agent. The agent is the person who does the action. It is the subject in active voice. Jyoti is the agent here. She did the action of stealing my phone. All right. Second is the action itself. It is the action that the agent performs, the doer of the action performs. All right. And the third thing is the receiver of the action, the object in the passive voice. Now, the receiver of the action is the person or the thing that the action is acted upon. The receiver of the action, which is an object, is the subject in passive voice. Why so? Because it is the thing we want to talk about. It is the thing we are focusing on in passive voice. All right. So now you know what is active voice, what is passive voice. Active voice, when you want to focus on the doer of the action. Passive voice, when you do not want to focus on the doer of the action, you want to focus on the receiver of the action. Now, when does it happen? When do you want to focus on the receiver of the action? When do we do that? Let's talk about it. Right. Now, before we do that, let's understand how to write sentences, how to form a sentence in passive voice. So in simple present tense, this is the structure of an active voice. Subject followed by V1 followed by object, and the passive form is subject followed by is MR according to the subject, all right, followed by V3 followed by the doer of the action if you want to talk about it, right? Present continuous tense, subject is MR, V1 plus ing plus object. Passive form, subject plus is MR plus being plus V3 plus object. Present perfect tense, subject plus has have plus V3 plus object. Passive form, subject plus has, have plus been plus V3 plus object. And there are some other tenses as well. I have mentioned all the tenses where you can use active and passive voice. Check the description of the video to find them. All right. Now let's talk about what are the situations where we use passive voice. So here are the situations where we use passive voice instead of using active voice in a sentence. All right. Number one, when the doer of an action is unknown. When you do not know who did the action, the agent, the doer of the action is unknown. Number two, when the agent is understood or less important. When the agent is so obvious that everybody knows it, it's understood, you don't have to talk about it. You don't have to write the sentence in active voice. Write the sentence in passive voice. Number three, when you do not want to reveal who did the action, you do not want to talk about the person, you want to keep the person anonymous. Keep it as a secret. Don't write the sentence in active voice, write the sentence in passive voice. Number four, when you want to focus on the receiver of the action rather than who does it or did it. And number five, when you want to keep the flow steady and develop a topic. Let's talk about all these situations one by one. Number one, when the doer of the action is unknown. A lot of times you do not know who is the doer of the action, who did the action, who does the action. You do not know that person. You write the sentence in passive voice. Look at the examples. My account has been credited with $1,000. My account has been credited with $1,000. This has happened to my account. My account is the object that received the action of crediting. Somebody must have done this. Who did this action? We simply do not know. And since we do not know the doer of the action, we are writing this sentence in passive voice. My account has been credited with $1,000. If we want to write this sentence in active voice, if we want to talk about or focus on the person who has done this action, we can do that. We can write the sentence in active voice. We'll say, somebody has credited $1,000 into my account. And this is more common in spoken English. In written English, when we do not know the doer of the action, we generally write the sentence in passive voice. All right, second example. Was the class ended on time? Was the class ended on time? I want to know if that happened because I do not know who did it, right? I am simply interested in knowing whether this action happened or not. If I want to talk about the person who did this action, and I'm asking a question, I would write the sentence in active voice. Did he end the class on time? Did she end the class on time? Third example, Jeremy's Twitter account has been hacked lately. Gone hacked. Jeremy's Twitter account, Jeremy hacked. Your account has been hacked lately. Who did that? Who has hacked your account? We don't know. And since we do not know, we're writing the sentence in passive voice. And let me tell you something, guys. This is common in written English, right? When you do not know the doer of the action, you generally write the sentence in passive voice. But in spoken English, we use an indefinite pronoun and we speak the sentence in active voice most of the times. For example, someone has hacked Jeremy's Twitter account. So that's how I will speak. That's case number one. Case number two, when the doer of the action is understood or less important. Sometimes the doer of an action is obvious, is almost understood. And when that's the case, you don't have to write the sentence in active voice. Write the sentence in passive voice. Examples. The terrorist was arrested in Delhi. It is obvious that the police will arrest the terrorist. So we don't have to talk about the police. We can leave it out, right? So the focus is on the object, the terrorist. The terrorist was arrested in Delhi. Who did that? Less important. Not important, sir. The terrorist was arrested in Delhi. This is more important. And the doer of the action is obvious, is understood. It's the police, and that's why we are not talking about it. And that's why the sentence is in passive voice. Example number two. I was born in 1996. I was born in 1996. This is simple past tense, passive voice. That's case number two, when the doer of the action is understood or less important. Case number three, when you don't want to reveal the doer of the action. You don't want to reveal who did the action. You're trying to save somebody's you got the point. All right. Sometimes it happens you do not want to reveal the doer of the action. You just do not want to do that. You want to keep the person anonymous. And when you do that, you write the sentence in passive voice. Examples. A lot of silly mistakes were made in that paper. A lot of silly mistakes were made in the paper. I do not want to talk about, I do not want to focus on the person or the people who made these mistakes. Let's not talk about them. And that's why I have written the sentence in passive voice. I'm just talking about what they did. We are focusing on the receiver of the action, which is a lot of silly mistakes. A lot of silly mistakes followed by be, the past form of be, were. This is a plural subject, that's why we're using were. A lot of silly mistakes were made in the paper. Second example. She was beaten brutally last night. She was beaten brutally last night. This happened. Who did that? I'm not going to tell you, sir. I don't want to get into any trouble. Now, let's not talk about the person who did that. She was beaten brutally last night. Okay, this is what I want to talk about. I am willing to talk about. And since I do not want to talk about who did this action, I am writing the sentence in passive voice. All right. Case number 3. Case number 4, when you want to focus on the receiver of the action, when, what has happened, what or whom has received the action is more important than who has done it, we use the passive voice. All right. A lot of times, what has happened, what or whom has received the action, which is basically the object, is more important to us than the subject, than the doer of the action itself. And when such is the case, write the sentence in passive voice. Look at these examples. The payment has been made. The payment has been made. Who made the payment? That is not important to me. The payment has been made. I had been waiting to get the payment. It has finally been made. That's all important to me. Who made the payment? Not important to me. I don't care about the person who made the payment. I received the payment. The payment has been made. This is important to me. The object, which is the payment that has been made, this is more important to me than the person who made the payment. All right. Second example, if you want to write the sentence in active voice, you can do that. Somebody has made the payment. He has made the payment. She has made the payment. We don't want to talk about that. We're interested in the object. Okay. Second example, the movie will be released next week. The movie will be released next week. Obviously, somebody will be doing that. Who? Not important, sir. We are not interested in the person who is going to do that, who will do this action. We are interested in the object, the movie that is going to be released. The movie will be released next week. If you want to talk about, if you want to add the doer of the action in here, in the passive voice sentence itself, you can do it. You can say the movie will be released next week by him or her or by the theater. You can do that, but that's not important to us. We generally do not talk about the doer of the action in passive voice. So that's why we are avoiding mentioning it. Okay, that's case number 4. Case number 5, to keep the flow steady and develop a topic. Try to understand this. Sometimes sentences are interconnected and they're talking about one thing only. And to be able to focus on that thing, you have to write sentences in passive voice as well. Right? Look at this example. Padman is an amazing movie. Here the focus is on this movie Padman. Padman is the amazing movie subject. R. Balki has directed it. In the second example, the focus has shifted to this person R. Balki. But again, we are talking about the movie. Okay, seems weird to do. He directed the movie in 2018. So all these sentences are talking about this movie Padman. But the second sentence and the third sentence focus on the person who directed the movie, not the movie itself. So we have to write these sentences in passive voice to focus on the movie, to make the movie the subject of the sentence, the focus point. All right. So we'll change these sentences in passive voice. Padman is an amazing movie. It has been directed by R. Balki. All right. We can talk about the person who did it. It was directed in 2018 by him. So now all these sentences are focusing on this movie Padman, and reading these sentences now feel better. All right. So these are the situations where we should use passive voice. All right. Now you know what is active voice, what is passive voice. When do you have to, when do you should use passive voice? Now let me tell you something really, really important. To be able to write a sentence in passive voice, to be able to change an active voice sentence to a passive voice sentence, you must have a transitive verb. You must have an object in your sentence. If the verb that you have in the active voice sentence is intransitive, you cannot change the sentence to passive voice. You cannot do that. See, an intransitive verb is a verb that cannot be acted upon something. A sentence that has an object can only be changed into passive voice. But if you have an intransitive verb like sleep, you cannot change it into passive voice, right? You cannot do that. This is very important to know. So that's all about today's lesson. I hope you guys, my people, enjoyed this lesson. I hope now you know what is active voice, now you know what is passive voice, when to use passive voice, when not to use it, when you want to focus on the subject, not use it. Let's not use the passive voice. Alright, if you guys have any questions, any doubts, do let me know in the comment section below. You can join my Facebook group, Instagram page, right? Ask me as many questions as you want to. If you guys haven't subscribed to the channel, very bad you are. Do that, and I'll see you guys very soon. Till then, keep learning, have fun. Namaskaram.